Today, you might have seen that I tried to go live this morning and there was a technical issue, and 3 seconds later it all jammed up. Anyway, we got it all sorted and here we are. So I know the biggest problem just about every parent has is my kids don't listen. I need to repeat myself 500,000 times. I need to nag and yell and remind all the time, and it's exhausting. Listen, as I always say, behavior is never ever random. This isn't happening just because they want to make life hard for you, right? There is a reason for this. Let me give you three reasons your kids don't listen to you. Number one, it's because of the way we speak to our children. Number two, the way we discipline our children. And number three, the way we love our children. All three of those things have a direct impact in how they respond to us, particularly when we are making requests of them. Now, I've got a completely free webinar coming up. It's going to be announced probably towards the end of next week. There's only going to be 48 hours to register for that. So if you are interested in being, sitting with me for like an hour and unpacking all of these topics, down to some detail, comment down below #webinar. And as soon as that has been announced, we will come back to all of these videos, anyone who has asked for the webinar, and you will get your chance to register for the webinar before we put it out publicly and all of the spots sell out. So put that down below if that is something you want to go deep into. Today, I've only got about 10 minutes. So here's what I'm going to give to you. And there is a reason this is happening. It's not random, okay? Number one, what we need to do is understand that behavior is never random, that when our children are giving us behaviors of any kind that we don't like, we need to be conscious in our approach as a parent, and we need to look at them through a filter of not what's wrong with you and why won't you stop this and why are you trying to make my life hard, but instead we need to go, what need of yours isn't being met right now, because their behavior is nothing other than a request for their needs to be met. And this is why, I have psychologists, counselors, occupational therapists, even pediatricians that all refer to my online program. And I have some families that have worked with psychologists for 5 years, every fortnight without fail, for 5 years, and ended up getting results in my program in the first, 6 weeks that they couldn't get in 5 years, which is why now their psychologist refers to the program. Now, that is not random either. That's because we don't just look at, the surface level behavior. We look at not only a child's behavior, but we connect with the child, and I teach parents how to connect with their children at a soul level, at an energy level, and in a way where we understand them, we see them, we hear them, and we see what it is, that we've been missing up until then. But let me get into why they, quite often they're not even intentionally not listening to you 100 times. What happens is this: they actually can't help it. One of the main reasons your kids won't listen to you is because you are coming across as a threat to them. A threat is anything that tries to take our power. And anytime anyone or anything is robbing us of our own personal power, it is a natural thing for any human to go into a state of resistance, and we act from the position of nothing other than the highest priority, which is self-preservation. So if you want your child to listen, first of all, you've got to approach them in a way that doesn't send them into their reptilian brain, okay? The part of their brain that goes into fight or flight. The moment they perceive you as a threat because you're getting angry, they're going to be in trouble. There's going to be consequences. There's going to be punishments. Anything that creates, blame, shame, and pain for the child is going to throw them into reptilian brain. From that part of their brain, they have zero ability to actually retain information you're giving to them right now and to make any kind of good choice. In order to make a logical, sensible, good choice or right decision, we need to be in the neocortex part of our brain. But that's 2 steps above the reptilian brain. In between, we have something called the mammalian brain. This is where we look to connect. We are social animals. We need to belong to a herd. And this is where every child wants the connection with you. But if you come in as a threat to them, then they aren't able to even receive what you're asking or consider their behaviors or make better choices, because they're literally the information is bypassing those routes in their brain, and it's ending up in nothing other than a fight or flight response. Now let's go a little bit deeper, because we're talking about conscious parenting. Why do so many parents come across as a threat even though they don't want to? If there was one thing that I could say, we hear from every single parent that we talk to, if there was one thing, it would be that they say, I wish I didn't yell so much. If there was anything I could change about my parenting, it would be that I yell so much. I just don't know what else to do. I feel like I end up just losing my shit. And, this is not the parent I wanted to be. Like, I don't want my children growing up remembering me as, the angry, shouting, yelling mum or dad. Like, I don't want to give them the kind of childhood I had. And if there was one thing I could stop, it would be to know how to do that. Well, let me tell you why that's happening for you, okay? Most of the time, you aren't parenting the child. You're not parenting the behavior you're seeing from the child. What you're actually responding and reacting to and getting triggered by is the story that you tell yourself about the child's behavior. For example, let's say your child has, a tantrum in a shopping center. You're not actually addressing the tantrum. You're addressing the story where you're telling yourself, oh my gosh, I look like I can't control my children. Gosh, they make life hard for me. Everyone's looking at me. Everyone must think I'm a terrible mother. Why won't they listen to me? Nobody cares about me. Everyone likes making my life difficult. All of these stories that then triggers you and any wounds or baggage you carry, and that is the position that you react from. That's why no matter how hard you try, you can't stop losing your shit or yelling or shouting or grabbing them or whatever it might be, which are things you don't want to do as a parent. I know that. Okay, so first of all, if we want our children to listen, here's what we need to do. We need to connect, then correct their behavior. Too often we go in just to correct them, okay? And we don't have any conscious moment in ourselves to actually see why they are choosing that behavior in that given moment. What we do is we attach our own story to that behavior and we respond based on the story we told ourselves without any consideration, without any acknowledgement or any recognition of the child's needs in that moment and why they made that choice. And if you can come to them in a way of being able to connect with them, they will absolutely, unequivocally be open to you correcting their behavior. And if you do it in a way where you maintain connection, okay, where you parent your child through a filter of connection, not control, then you aren't perceived as a threat, and so they stay in a connected space. That then opens the part of their mind that is open to receiving new ideas on how they could make a better choice next time. But the moment you become a threat, the moment you start judging me, criticizing me, yelling at me, blaming me, shaming me, causing me some kind of pain right now, or even just not understanding me, not seeing that I didn't intentionally do that to upset you. I didn't intentionally forget to put my thing away that you asked me to put away. I'm just in this particular moment and I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing right now, and it wasn't an intentional thing. So there's so many different layers I could go into, okay? But effectively, the way we talk to our children, the way we discipline, and the way we love them all has an impact on whether or not they will listen to us. Okay, now let me go in a little bit deeper just for these few minutes on how we talk to our children, because the language that you use as a parent is what determines whether or not they feel a connection from you before you start correcting their behavior. So I'm going to share this with you. When your children aren't listening or they're choosing behaviors that you don't like, what I want you to do is pause, okay? The power is in the pause. Now, let me share with you what the pause stands for, P.A.U.S.E. If you will just have enough consciousness in one of these moments to realize it's not the behavior, it's the story. I just need to pause and follow these steps. You will see an immediate shift in I'm not talking this is going to take you a week. I'm talking the next time you deal with your child, the very next moment, if you can address them from a position of connection and follow these steps, you will see a shift in their response to you. And when that becomes a habit over time, your child learns to trust the process. They don't get defensive too early on. They start to be able to relax and let you in a little bit and be able to hear, your effective criticism, not your judgmental criticism, but your effective criticism over my choices in a way where you're maintaining understanding of me and genuinely wanting to help me have a learning experience, in which case I am able to take take on board what you're offering me as criticism or as feedback and use it to make better choices next time, because I also want to maintain connection with my herd. I want to stay connected to the person at the top of my hierarchy, because as a child, I'm a pack animal also, okay? I want to belong to the herd. And anytime I feel like the herd is starting to kick me out or isolate me or push me to the side or, become aggressive towards me, that's a threat to my survival, because I rely on the herd. In that moment, you are nothing but a threat to all of everything that I need access to. And so it's absolutely normal that children get stuck in these cycles of, what seems like back chatting, what seems like nothing but resistance, what seems like, oh, the child, I'm sure they enjoy it. I'm sure they just love, taking me for a ride and making life difficult for me, okay? Those things are your stories. They are not the truth. So let me share with you what the pause is. P stands for pause. First of all, just pause for 1 second. All right. Catch yourself in your story. A stands for acknowledge. Acknowledge the child, particularly in relation to their intentions. For example, it might be something like, I know you were trying to help out by carrying the glasses over to the table for me, and I really appreciate that you were making an effort to try to help me. Next time, I'd prefer that you carry the plastic things and leave the glass things for me. Instead of, oh my gosh, what have you done? I told you not to touch the glass. Now it's all broken everywhere. Do you see the difference? First of all, acknowledge my intention. Most of the time, my intention, let's say if I've even hit my brother, well, my intention wasn't to hurt my brother. My intention was to protect myself and remove him from annoying me. So you can't just come in on me without giving me the acknowledgement of what my intentions were. The only way I knew how to meet my own need to get him away from me, because he was starting to play with my toys and I didn't want him to, my only way to know how to meet my own need right now was to hit him and push him away. And if you can come in and chat to me about that on a level of connection and then correct my behavior, you will get the result you're looking for, and I won't have to feel like I've been blamed, shamed, and sitting in some kind of emotional pain. I can just take the feedback, change my behavior, and stay connected to my herd. So P is pause. A is acknowledge the child first. Acknowledge their intention. Or sometimes acknowledge the attribute of the child. That's another thing you can acknowledge. So let's say they're arguing with you. You don't just have to turn around and go, stop your arguing. If you say another thing, and go off at them, okay? You go, do you know what? I love how strongly you believe in something. And do you know what else I love about you? I love that when you want something, you never give up on getting what you want. And that is an incredible character trait to have in life. In this very moment, it's not going to work and you're starting to cross my boundaries. So this is where it's not cool. I love this trait about you, but I am not appreciating the way that you are approaching this conversation, the way that you are not respecting my request to stop asking. You have asked, I have answered. Let's respect each other's boundaries now, and you need to stop. Okay, but we've acknowledged what we love about the person, and we've done something called separating the deed from the doer. Okay, so we don't want our children to believe that they are their choices. You're a good person, bad choice. Amazing person, really stupid decision, for example. But we separate those two things so that we are only ever addressing a child's choices and not attacking the essence of who they are, so that they receive that as, well, I'm always empowered because I always have the ability to change my choice. But what I can't do is I can't not be me. So if you start telling me that I'm bad, not that the choice was bad, but that I'm bad, that I'm, annoying rather than I'm making choices that are annoying, then this is where it starts to hurt our self-esteem. See how we talk to our children? It makes a big difference on whether or not we come across as a threat. After you acknowledge them, the U stands for unhook. You acknowledge the child and then you unhook yourself from your own story. Just catch yourself in that story and make sure you unhook yourself off that little wound that you're carrying, mum and dad, okay? The wound that they have only triggered because it exists, because you haven't done the work on yourself yet, on your powerlessness, for example. If you've got a powerlessness wound, then anytime you feel like you can't control your child and they're not listening to you, guess what that's going to trigger? Your powerlessness, because you're going to feel like you're powerless to create the scenario you want to create, because no matter what you try to do, they're not listening to you, right? So that triggers your own wound. That baggage doesn't belong to the child. So unhook yourself from the story first, acknowledge, unhook. Then the S stands for selecting the way that you speak. Okay. You've got to use words that work. Now, this is what I'm going to cover in the free webinar coming up. I don't have time to do this today, but I have so many videos on my Facebook page and in my Facebook group. Go there to the Holly Effect. It's actually / the Holly Effect official if you want to find it on Facebook, and go through all the videos I've got there. There are so many on different ways, like one word you can change and different ways you can word your sentences that will make a big difference in your children responding to you, because it's making a big difference in whether or not you come across as a threat to them or whether you're coming across with connection to them, okay? And then the E stands for energy. As you do this, understand you need to execute all of these things energetically. Our children hear us vibrationally more than they will ever hear us verbally, okay? They feel us vibrationally. You can't just go and use the words, for example, that I've taught you in another video as a way to have some kind of special tool that gives you power and use it to manipulate the child. You've got to have energy that is congruent with the intention of this conversation with the child. If you're trying to use language, but your intention really is just to control them right now, then they're going to feel the incongruency in your energy, and that is going to send a signal to their energy field. Something's not right here. I don't quite know what it is, but if something's not right, then I need to be on alert for a threat in my life, okay, so that I can protect myself. And as soon as I feel like something's not right, guess what happens? I go into fight or flight mode. I've got to be on high alert and just be careful that nothing's going to attack me right now. These are ingrained, like we're wired this way, okay? This is part of, the mammal in us that needs to survive, okay? So P.A.U.S.E, you pause, you acknowledge the child, you unhook yourself from your story, okay? You select words and speak to the child with effective words, okay? With words that help you connect with them before you correct them. Connect, then correct. And E, you execute energetically. You're always aware of the energy that you are delivering any conversation with. You start doing those things and you will see an immediate shift in your child's willingness to engage with you and to respond to you. And for as long as you can keep their fight or flight response at bay, for as long as you can make this feel like connection, guess what's going to happen? They then have the ability to receive all your information with a different part of their brain. That now means that they can move. Once you've got connection in the mammalian brain, they can now move up to the neocortex, which is where they retain new information as memory to be able to, select those behaviors next time, and they can make better choices. They can see things a different way, okay? Think about it in your own relationships. If your husband or wife comes to you coming down on you, your instant response is to literally get your walls up, and you can't even help that. Okay. But if they come and say, hey, babe, can we have a chat about something? Like, I know it's probably not your intention to have been making me feel how I've been feeling, but it has been sitting heavy on me. And I just want to have a courageous conversation and chat with you openly about it. I know it's not your intention, but there's something you're doing that's making things really uncomfortable for me. And I just want to have an open conversation about it. Because of the intent to connect with you before they started correcting you, you go into that conversation in a whole different space, okay? And this is what our children are needing from us. So if you're someone that's out there that wants to know all of these kind of things all the time and you want to have access to everything I could possibly ever teach you, then I would highly suggest you consider looking at our online parenting program. Now, you can get a free parenting support call. We're giving those out at the moment. So just comment down below, online program, if you're interested, and I will get one of my amazing parenting coaches to contact you to be able to organize a completely free parenting support call so that we can hear what your challenges are and share some information with you about, all the different options we have in the online programs, so that if you are looking for that extra help, if you do want to even have weekly coaching access to me, every Tuesday night, I do a Zoom call where I am available to give everyone one-on-one coaching on this call, and I can give you very specific advice and look at all the layers as to why your child's behaving the way that they are. We don't look at the surface level behavior, okay? What we look at is the need that they are trying to get met by using that behavior. And sometimes that can be quite a few layers deep, okay? So if not, then I at least would invite you to make sure you're on our webinar. That'll be announced next week. There'll only be 48 hours notice before the webinar is on. There will be limited positions. So if you do want that link and your chance to secure your spot on that webinar, that completely free webinar, before it goes out publicly, hashtag webinar down below. We will get that in touch with you. So as soon as you see some notifications, make sure you register, okay? And I can tell you that I'm going to be running free webinars once a month, but there's never going to be the same topic. So if you miss this one, you miss it, okay? Replays won't be available unless you've registered for the webinar, but you have to have at least registered to even get access to the the replays. All right. Now, as I always say, this kind of parenting takes courage. It takes courage to pause in moments where we're triggered. It takes courage to even see that what we're getting angry about is our own story and our own baggage and our own wounds. And we're placing the burden of all of our unresolved emotions onto our children. It takes courage. It's bloody confronting to look at that as a parent and to see that this is what's affecting my relationship with my child. So as I always say, if there was anything I could wish for any parent, it is just courage, because courage is the difference maker. So as you depart from here today, please depart from here with courage. The courage to believe in a better way, the courage to voice what you've got to say, the courage to thrive when times are tough, and above all else, the courage to know you are good enough. Goodbye, everyone.